Welcome to the Baselines to Sidelines podcast. My name is Nick. Welcome back to the show. I hope you guys had a good time this weekend. A lot of great football, a lot of stuff going on. Rockiesfest happened. So let's dive into this. Let's have some fun. Lot to get into right here. Starting off, I made my score predictions and I was right on all of them. I hate to say that. I genuinely hate to say that because with me being a Broncos fan, and I will admit that, I did not want to be right when it came to the Broncos and the Patriots because I made the prediction that the Patriots would win. I got the score wrong. I think 98% of people get the score wrong whenever they make score predictions. So that is not all that surprising. But I was just unfortunately right when it came to that. Now this is going to be an interesting matchup coming into the Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. I definitely think the Seattle Seahawks have the upper edge on that one. Just because the Seahawks defense is just absolutely lethal. And looking at the New England Patriots when it comes to that offense, the Denver Broncos have a really, 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 really good defense, and they were able to hold the New England Patriots to only 10 points. Now, granted, yes, the snow played a factor, but when you look at what that Broncos defense could do, I'm sorry, but the Seahawks defense is just going to really shut down Drake May. They're really going to make they have a better run defense. The Seahawks have a better run defense than the Broncos do. So they're going to shut down Stevenson. They're going to make Drake May one-dimensional, and I really don't even see it being all that close of a Super Bowl. Now, do I want it to be a close Super Bowl? Absolutely, because I want it to be, an entertaining game. Because every single year, I take the Super Bowl off. So I hope it's going to be a very close game, but we'll see. Also, quick side update. You will see that the Baselines to Sidelines podcast logo has been changed. A great friend of mine, my best friend James, made that logo. He did an incredible job. I love that logo. It is sleek. It is clean. It really shows and tells what Baselines to Sidelines is all about. So I want to give my friend James a shout out. I'll give him a shout out on all my social medias as well. He was the creator behind that. So thank you. Thank you, James. I really appreciate that. And it looks clean, it looks fresh, and really just steps the podcast up just that much more. So thank you. All right. Now, diving back into football a little bit, because this is going to be a hybrid episode. We're going to dive into a little bit of the game breakdowns of the AFC and NFC championships, kind of like what I've been doing already. And then also we're going to dive into Rockiesfest that happened on Saturday. Lot to dive into there, lot to talk about. That's going to be I'm really excited to talk about that. I wasn't there, unfortunately, but it's I had a couple of friends who were there, and I also listened, watched, and read a lot of the media that were out there for Rockiesfest, and there's so much information to break down. I don't even know if we'll be able to get into all of it. So, yep. But back to let's quickly break down the AFC Championship. I mean, you look at what the Broncos did, you look at what the Patriots did. I mean, one thing for sure is the Patriots were completely made one-dimensional. The run game when um outside of when the snow started to fall, that's when the Patriots run game kind of kicked into high gear. But if you look at the stats, Stevenson still only averaged, I think it was 2.6, 2.8 yards per carry. That's not a lot at all. So a bulk of that came when the snow was happening. Now, was that crunch time? Absolutely. Absolutely, that was crunch time. So credit to the Patriots on that one. But that Broncos defense shut them down and made them completely one-dimensional, completely forced Drake May to be uncomfortable. And they made him absolutely uncomfortable for, I would say, pretty much most of the game. So credit to the Broncos there, but also credit to the Patriots for just being able to withstand and capitalize. Now, I know Sean Payton is getting some heat right now for the whole field goal try. You look at it and you're like, yeah, coulda, woulda, shoulda. If I was in Sean Payton's shoes, would I have gone for the points? Yeah, I absolutely would have gone for the points. But also, I'm not going to sit here and say that also being aggressive was the wrong thing. I think both can be true in a sense, because Sean had a ton of faith in his defense. And rightfully so. Look at what that defense did. So, looking at looking at what Sean Payton was thinking, I could see why he wanted to go for it. Did I like the play call? No. I did not like the play call at all. I also think there was a huge miscommunication because you had two players. One of them was a linebacker, came free off the play side. So the way the play was run, the play was designed to roll left. When you have a defender coming free from the line of scrimmage on the side the play is supposed to come off of, that's a huge problem. That is absolutely a huge problem. So I also believe that, was the play call good? No. I also think that because I was listening to Dave Logan, the one who does the play-by-play for the Broncos, the voice of the Broncos, he was talking about this as well. I think the play was meant to be run if the Patriots were in man coverage, and the Patriots were in zone coverage. So I don't think the play was set up correctly either. So there was a lot just wrong with the play on the 4th and 1. So I have a lot of problems with that. I don't necessarily have a huge problem with going for it on 4th down. Because, you get that 4th down, you say you go down and score. Well, you're up 14-0. Now, granted, 10-0 would still have been just as great, but it sucks. Absolutely. I think, I think that was an improper call. Now, as far as some people, because just today, Joe Lombardi, the offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos, was fired, which I did not see that coming. I absolutely did not see that coming. A couple of people out there were making comments about, that was his call. It absolutely was not. If anybody knows how the Broncos are structured, Sean Payton is doing the offensive play calling. He is the one saying this play is going to be run here. For all of my non-football people, because I know there are a few out there, an offensive coordinator doesn't mean you're going to call plays. A head coach will call plays if he's very offensive minded or he feels confident in his play calling abilities, i.e., Sean Payton. Sean Payton is considered an offensive guru. So he's going to be the one to call plays. So the whole like play calls and all of that was not on Joe Lombardi. I think Joe Lombardi getting fired, there's a lot more to it than just, how the game went. It is fascinating because if you look at Sean Payton's coaching career, Joe Lombardi has been around a lot of that for about 15 years. So to have a guy that you have worked with for over 15 years just to let him go like that, I don't think there was a huge amount of turmoil, not that I had heard or read or seen. But it is interesting. I know one thing is clear. There is definitely hold on, let me try to find the words. There is definitely an concerted effort to try to keep Davis Webb, the quarterback's coach, around for the Denver Broncos. I think he is going to be the primary candidate to be promoted. I think that is definitely the one thing that is absolutely clear on that one. I'll do a bigger breakdown on that in another episode because I realize I'm kind of rambling on this, so I apologize. There's going to be a much, this whole situation can be a whole episode. So I think I'm going to pivot off of that. I'll quickly break down the NFC Championship. I think that was a really, really exciting game. You had the number one offense in the Los Angeles Rams, and you had the number one defense, scoring defense specifically, in the Seattle Seahawks. And those two teams were right there for blood. They both wanted to win. They both put everything on the line. The Seattle Seahawks just made one or two more plays, and each team very, very confident. I think the Seahawks controlled that game more, though. Credit to Sam Darnold. Credit to Mike McDonald. Yeah, Mike McDonald. Credit to that whole Seattle team. That is just a lethal Seattle team, and I'm going to call it right now. I would be shocked. I would absolutely be shocked if the Patriots won this game or won the Super Bowl. Sorry to some of my Patriot buddies out there, but that Seattle defense is just super lethal, matched up with Sam Darnold and the run game. Granted, they're down a running back right now, but I'm excited to see that game. I'm really excited, but I don't think it's going to be a close game. I really think the Seattle Seahawks have this one pretty securely in hand. So that's just my prediction on that one. If I'm wrong again, I'm wrong again. It won't be the first time. It won't be the last time. All right. Now, let's get into the meat of the bones. Let's get into Rockiesfest. So, I think one of the biggest news coming out of Rockiesfest is Larry Walker and Todd Helton, the two Hall of Famers, the only two true Rockies Hall of Famers that are in the Hall of Fame, are getting statues unveiled outside of Coors Field. Todd Helton, or Larry Walker's, is going to be on August 23rd, and then Todd Helton's will be on September 19th. I know for a fact I'm already going to the Todd Helton one. I might be going to the Larry Walker one. I'm going to try to figure that one out. But the Todd Helton one, I mean, he's Mr. Rocky. He is the Rocky of all time. He's quite frankly my childhood hero. He was my favorite player. I have two Todd Helton bobbleheads behind me for those of you watching on YouTube. I have the one I'm pointing to right here. That was part of the 20th anniversary edition Rockies bobbleheads, where he's apparently running the bases and has his finger held up high. And then that one above at the top is the Todd Helton bobblehead during when they celebrated his Hall of Fame, and that's the infamous play that's the infamous celebration he did when the Rockies won the pennant to go to the World Series. You know, he catches the ball for the final out, and then he's raised his hands up to the heavens in celebration. So, anybody who knows me knows that Todd Helton was my childhood hero, my favorite player of all time. So there was no doubt when that announcement was made, I was going to be going to that game. And I'm definitely going to be trying to go to Larry Walker's game. I know I'm going to be going to a few games this year, not only just because I love Rockies baseball, but also I want to cover the team the right way. Not only watching games, but also going to the games and getting a pulse of the fans, getting a pulse of the team, stuff like that. So that's really exciting news for the Rockies. I think this is long, long overdue. But the fact that the Rockies have two, you could technically count Jim Leyland as the third in the Hall of Fame, but I don't personally count Jim Leyland just because I don't think his record was super impressive with his time as a Rockies manager. So Larry Walker and Todd Helton are the two true Hall of Famers for the Colorado Rockies. So I think this is absolutely the right move to make. I think, honestly, Todd Helton's statue should have been unveiled, or should have been made when they retired his number, like 12 years ago. But I'm glad they're doing it now. So congrats to both of those guys. Now, one of the other news I really like and I'm excited to talk about is during some of the Q&A, Kyle Freeland was asked about the new pitching staff because Kyle Freeland's one of the veterans there. You could talk about Michael Lorenzen being a veteran. I think, hold on, let me think. They're right. Kyle Freeland and Michael Lorenzen are right around the same age. They're either a few months or just a year apart. So both longtime veterans, but Kyle Freeland has been here his whole career. He's a Colorado boy. So definitely when he got it made sense that he was going to get asked about the new pitching staff questions, and he talked about how he's excited to be talking with them because they're coming out with already talking about new ideas and wanting to reshape the way pitching and the mechanics and everything about pitching at altitude, because that is, I mean, that's the biggest, hardest thing to do for the Rockies, for Major League Baseball, is pitching at altitude. Pitching at, 50 to 80 feet. Everybody talks about it. Everybody talks about the nightmares. You could talk, there was also the ESPN article that came out about, literally about pitching at Coors Field and interviewing pitchers, former Rockies pitchers, current MLB pitchers, majority of them not Rockies. So, the ones visiting here. And they all talked about what a nightmare it is to pitch at altitude. I played in high school. I was more of a hitter. I never really got to pitch, but I was always a huge fan of pitching. So I worked on trying to, figure out pitches, figure out, curveball, slider, changeup, yada, yada, yada. And growing up in Colorado my whole life, I've never thrown a baseball like off of a pitching mound down at sea level. But watching the games, getting a feel for the pitching, trying to just see what these pitchers are feeling, you could definitely see when it comes to the off-speed pitches, they don't bite quite the way you would want them to. Curveballs, some of them, they'll bite nice. Others, you might as well have thrown a slow fastball. So and then the fatigue is real. The fatigue is absolutely real pitching at altitude. Any pitcher talks about that. So you're going to, so basically, getting back on topic, I love the fact that this new pitching staff is really trying to work with these pitchers and trying to figure out what exactly they want to see, what they're trying, what they want to. Apparently, they're coming out with some, according to Kyle Freeland, really wild and wacky stuff. But he's excited about it because it's new, it's fresh. It's not the same old story the Rockies have been hearing for 10 years. No offense, Daryl Scott, but again, I'm going to go back to the quote of all time for Rockies fans. You can only shuffle deck chairs on the Titanic so many times. It's still the Titanic. It's still going to sink. So the fact that they're trying something new is so exciting. And Freeland is already also making mechanical adjustments and pitching adjustments with his arm movement. He's really trying to fix a couple of things as well. I think Kyle Freeland had a better year this year. Let me look up his stats real quick. I should have had that prepared again. I apologize. But Kyle Freeland had a little bit of a better year this year. As far as ERA goes, his ERA was better. Not an insane amount. He had a 4.98 ERA compared to a 5.24. His win-loss percentage went down from a 3.85 to a 2.27. So, that's not great. He gave up 100. He did give up the most runs he has of his career of all time. Okay, now that I look at this, his strikeouts were good. This is his third most strikeouts. he ever had of his career. There so there were improvements, but there also wasn't. So I take back what I said on the pitching better. There's definitely, if you look at it on paper, he had some good, he had some bad, but I mean, 119 losses, everybody was bad on that team. Everybody. There were bright spots, but only so many bright spots you can go with. And then the other thing that encouraged me, I think as any Rockies fans would be encouraged by, Freeland outright said he wants to be a part of this rebuild. He wants to be a part of helping develop these younger pitchers and actually make this team relevant again, because quite frankly, this team has not been relevant since 2018, 8 years ago. And even then, people were noticing them. Yeah, absolutely, because they had some damn good players at the time. I could probably list off that whole 2018 team, but I'm not going to. That's a different day, different time. But I love that Freeland talked about wanting to be a part of the rebuild, wanting to be a part of the development and help bring these young pitchers along and help them with pitching at altitude, help them with their mechanics, and making this team the team that Rockies fans hope for. Now, is that going to change things overnight? No, it's absolutely not. Because still on paper, this team is still headed for a lot of losses, even with the signings that they have made. They've made some good signings, don't get me wrong, and I even covered that. But they haven't made world of a difference signings. And that's just where the Rockies are at right now. One fun, quick thing that I wanted to talk about, Vinny Castilla, Rockies legend, part of the Blake Street Bombers era. He presented Hunter Goodman with his Silver Slugger Award, with the Silver Slugger Award. Hunter Goodman won it this year. I think that Hunter Goodman is one of the few bright spots that have happened to the Rockies this season. So that was really cool to see an all-time Rockies legend present that award to Hunter Goodman. Or as one of my favorite minor league podcasts who covers the Rockies farm system, Blake Street Banner likes to say, your mom's favorite player. Now, the other thing, so now let's dive into the Rockies organization as a whole. The one thing that as a person who has followed the Rockies his entire life, the Rockies have never, outside of the early 2000s, have never talked about or saying the word rebuild. They do not say that word until now. At Rockiesfest, Paul DePodesta, Josh Burns, I don't know Walker Momford. I will have to, I didn't see anything on that. If he did, great. But they're actually talking about a rebuild. They're actually saying the word rebuild. And for longtime Rockies fans, that's huge. They're actually accepting that they're in a rebuild. Long, long rebuild, but they're in a rebuild. And they're actually accepting that they have to do things differently. Everything they have done has stated that, but they never said it. Until Saturday at Rockiesfest, they talked about it. That's massive. because it actually puts into the minds of Rockies fans, oh, they're actually caring. They're actually going out and saying, hey, we're in a rebuild. We need to readjust. We need to look at things differently so we can come back stronger. So the fact that they're actually saying that is massive. Any Rockies fan should look at that and go, oh, this is different. This is absolutely different. And the Rockies are already doing things differently with the pitching staff, with the front office. Hell, even at Rockiesfest, the GM, Walker Monfort, Paul DePodesta, and Warren Schaefer all were available, not just Q&A for the media, they were available Q&A for fans. Name the last time the Rockies organization did that. That's been a hell of a long time. Hell of a long time. I can't think of one off the top of my head at the moment. That's how long it has been. So if you're a Rockies fan and you see that, that should already indicate that this is different. Especially coming off the fact that they just came off of a 119-loss season, their worst record of all time, and at one point they were on pace to blow the record of the worst losses of all time out of the water, which they did not do. I want to be clear, they did not do. But they were very close. They at one point were on that path. Now the new front office is like, we're going to be out there. We're going to be out there for the fans to come and talk to us. For this one day, we're going to be there so the fans can talk to us. That's different. And I like that the front office had the balls to do that. I'm going to quite frankly, because I am energetic about this. Dick Monfort would not have done that. His son had the balls to do it. Bill Schmidt, hell no. Bill Schmidt hid. He hid all the time. I mean, I can think of a handful of interviews Bill Schmidt did, but beyond that, he hid. He was a face, but a face you saw in pictures. Beyond that, you never saw him on camera. You never saw him talking to the media. So the fact that this regime is actually doing it now, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I'm not going to take my headphones off to do this, but hats off to the Rockies organization. Hats off to them for that, because that is absolutely different. Now, also another thing kind of tying into that, during Q&A as well, Hunter Goodman, Silver Slugger catcher, all-star catcher. Yes, all-star catcher, I think. He was energetic with his questions, and he talked about not wanting to be complacent. He talked about not wanting the team to forget last season, because it lights a fire under him. It should light a fire under them about not wanting to happen again. You don't want a modern team being compared to the Cleveland Spiders of the 1800s, early 1900s. You don't want them being compared to that. So the fact that Hunter Goodman is out there saying, let's not get complacent again, because there were he was quoted talking about guys being out there just being happy to be there because, I got called up. No, you got to earn it now. You got to earn it now, and you got to be willing to be here and to want to be here. Just because you're in the show means nothing. Yeah, you got there. Keep it. So that's one thing that I love. And even Paul DePodesta, he was talking about how he hates to lose. And how that is the one thing that lights the fire under him. So that's huge. You have Paul DePodesta coming out saying losing is the worst thing in the world. So he doesn't want that. Hunter Goodman doesn't want that. You have these guys outright coming out saying, this lights a fire under us. This lights a fire to not repeat what the Rockies of old were doing. As a Rockies fan, that fires me up. As a baseball person, that fires me up. Listening to Hunter Goodman talk about that, it made me want to run through a wall. I hope you're feeling the energy that is coming out of me right now. Because I came into doing this podcast wanting to talk about Rockies baseball after 119 losses, and I still wanted to do that. That fires me up hearing Hunter Goodman talk about that. That fires me up hearing Paul DePodesta talk about that. This is different. Even Warren Schaefer just came out, I think Patrick Saunders of the Denver Post. I want to give credit to where credit is due. He was talking to Warren Schaefer, and Warren Schaefer was talking about on-field aggressiveness and wanting to really be out there and talk about it, make aggressive decisions, not just be complacent. And I love that. Hell, I love his energy. I think as any Rockies fans remember last season, one of the best times was when he came out. He was arguing a call that was called a strike, and he came out there and he literally squatted down in front of the umpire at home plate and was showing him where the ball was. And then he threw his hat down. The dude was fired up. You weren't going to see Bud Black. No offense. Bud Black was an amazing coach for a while. His time came, though. But you didn't see Bud Black doing that. Warren Schaefer came out with fire, and I loved that. So the fact that he wants to be more aggressive and he wants to actually try things, let's go. As a baseball fan, let's go. I want to see something different. I want to see new. I want to see fresh. I don't just want to see, oh, we're calling this guy up because, oh, so exciting. Nah, I want to see the real deal. I want to see what Warren Schaefer can do. I want to see where, the reins are off. Let's go. You're the manager now. You don't have the interim title. You don't have a leash right now. Let's go. I want to see what you can do. So the fact that he's talking about being aggressive, let's friggin' go. Let's go. All right. I'm going to come down. I'm just talking about it just fires me up. Talking about what they want, about what they're going to do, just fires me up. The other thing that came out of Rockiesfest that I think is super notable is Charlie Condon was interviewed, and he's just learning how to. He was talking about learning how to navigate the getting his swing figured out, getting his just blah 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 blah. Getting like what he's trying to do and trying to navigate the minor leagues. I definitely think there's a huge possibility about coming out and wanting to really be you know, there's really a possibility he's going to come out and make his debut in 2026. So I hope he really gets his stuff figured out. He really gets that development he needs down in the minor leagues. Sorry for the stuttering. I was like doing two things at once and my brain couldn't keep up. But the the fact that Charlie Condon was out talking about that is really, really cool. And I think he has a really, really good chance to be that player that the Rockies need and be that just fantastic first baseman that the Rockies need. That is something that the Rockies have been desperate for a minute. And I think Charlie Condon can really do that. I think Charlie Condon can be that for the Colorado Rockies. So I think that's going to be exciting. And then lastly, Michael Lorenzen was talking about he's really excited to see his 7-pitch. He has a 7-pitch arsenal with that he's working with. He's actually working on an 8th pitch. We also found out that I forget what that 8th pitch is, but he's going to be working with that and developing it. So we might see that this season. But he's actually excited to have those 7 pitches and see what they can do at altitude and work with that mix of pitches at altitude. He has a 4-seamer, a sinker, a changeup, a slider, a curveball, a cutter, and a sweeper. I mean, that's an impressive amount of pitches. Because for starting pitchers, typically it's a 4 to 6 pitch mix, 5 being the typical. So 7 pitches is really impressive, and the fact that he's working on an 8th pitch is just awesome. He uses his 4-seam fastball the most, and then his sinker and his changeup are pretty close as to the amount he uses them in. And then his slider and his curveball, and then his cutter and his sweeper, you kind of see on the tail end. You don't see a whole lot of them. And I mean, 2025, his walk rate was really, really good. Everything else was average. I think it's not other, worldly, but I mean, I talked about it. You're not going to get otherworldly pitchers as free agents because nobody wants to pitch at altitude. Nobody wants to do that. But I think this is just really exciting to hear a free agent pitcher be like, yeah, I'm excited to see what my pitches can do at altitude. I'm excited to see what I can do with this challenge. That's really cool. So I think there were a lot of great things that came out of Rockiesfest. I think there are a lot of great things that are coming down the line when it comes to Colorado Rockies. The on-field production, eh, eh, that's still a huge work in progress, but at least there's progress. There's signs of growth. There's not this hope that is about as useful as fairy dust. Because quite frankly, that's what the hope that the Rockies were trying to feed the fans the past few years was just hope out of thin air. So the fact that there's actual tangible evidence and tangible, like, everything out there that you can see being like, oh, this is different, is really friggin' exciting. And I hope you're just as excited as I am, because I'm fired up, as you could tell. I wish it was baseball season already. Football season was a hell of a lot of fun, but I'm just ready. I am ready for some friggin' baseball. I'm ready for it, and I hope you guys are too. So I think that's going to wrap this episode. I think we dived into a lot, and there was just a lot of great stuff to talk about. And next episode is going to be another football episode again. We're going to do more of a breakdown as far as the Joe Lombardi firing, what the Broncos are going to do. There's also going to be the head coach candidacies, not for the Broncos, for the positions in the NFL that are still open, and also the positions that have been filled, what all of that means, and then also Super Bowl. We're going to talk Super Bowl. We're going to talk about more of a deep dive than what I did today into the Patriots and the Seahawks. So I hope you guys get excited for that. This was a fun episode. I know it was a bit more rambling than even I expected, but I hope you guys had fun. And this was the Baselines to Sidelines podcast. I will catch you guys later. Nick out.